First 45 minutes, it was like a little bit of a chess game. Then it all went off after that. Atletico Ottawa, let's be frank here, survive a real scare and finally get one over the line against York United.
Yeah, this is a big match for them, just to turn it around. Obviously making the semifinals, but having enough grit, enough luck, enough fortune, enough desire, though, Wheels, to get over the hump and clasp pens to win it all.
It was. Look, the way that things played out, it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
Like, really, in extra time for there to be a goal so quick. Obviously, the GMO goal in stoppage time to send it to extra time, and those two quick goals in extra time where York United was down. Like, they didn't have any center backs left other than Niall Higgins. It just made for, like, a wide-open game, and there was controversy throughout. Let's go to your Volkswagen game-changer moment of the match, and it came in penalties. Mopa Booley, cash money from the penalty spot. Nate Ingham makes a save. I will say his feet didn't look like they were beyond the line when the penalty was taken.
He does step forward. I will say also, though, Vincenzini does it as well after.
But
this one, yeah.
There was a save. The assistant referee didn't have a problem with it. And it's Iliadis with the winner. 5 for 5. Really well taken penalties. And that man right there, a sigh of relief.
Relief indeed.
As Atletico Ottawa, with all the pressure that was on their shoulders, it was really one way heading into this one. And like I said, they just barely got it over the line. Did the better team win on this day for you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the situation of Atletico Ottawa being up twice, if they go on and lose this in any fashion in pens, it's a choke situation, right? Like, they built this team to go on and play in a semifinal, but also to play for something. In this case, it's going to be the North Star Cup. I will say, I just like that there was goals. You watch the first half, Wheels, and it was 0-0. You're like, there's only maybe one goal to really separate them. And the goal that York United give up, that 1-0 goal from Ollie Bassett, that one will sting. That one will keep you up at night. The fact that they made it a game, I think there's something to take from that. But for me, the better side won today.
Let's go back pitch side with our Gatorade performer of the match, standing by with Christian Jack.
I'm with the skipper and the hero of the day. This smile's not going to leave your face for a long time. Nathan Ingham, talk us through what this feeling's like.
Oh, it's the best, mate. This is why we do it. What a game. I'm not the hero. 5 pens, all top of the net, smashed them home. The boys were amazing today. So good. And the fact I could get a save, and that's all. Just needed one.
Well, we'll talk about the team and what this means in a second, but the Babuli save is why you're here.
Yeah.
What did you see?
I don't know. He was shaving it like he was going to smash it across his body. And it just looked a little too obvious. I think he was trying to get in my head, and I had to go with my gut. Our book said something else, but that's the one I went with.
This is the first ever CPL penalty shootout. You're the first ever winners. It's also the first time your club has won a penalty shootout. What does this mean for this club at this time?
I don't know, man. It's a fun stat. It's a cool little history book, but who cares? We're on. We're moving on. Let's go.
You're down to the last 3. I know you're not going to know who you're going to play, but what does this mean now for your chances to go on and try and win this?
Well, they go from 0 to something, right? No, it's good. We'll probably put the game on in the locker room and maybe enjoy the night and see what happens.
You get to run over and celebrate with these fans now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go.
Thank you, KJ.
Love that right there. By the way, going against the book, they do all kinds of research where they think these penalty takers are going to go, and he went with his gut in that moment. Take that, data nerds or data nerds, you know what I mean?
You say the same for the kickers, right? Like, if you feel it, you have to be confident in your decision. You have to live with the fact. If you want to go across your body and go left, even though you normally go right, you have to back yourself in that moment. But for keepers, they always say you just got to save one, and it just galvanizes the whole group when they do that.
Look, they didn't beat York United in the 90 minutes. For them, it doesn't matter. It was pragmatic. They were really good at moments, and they're going to be a stiff test no matter who they play next weekend, whether it be at Forge or at Cavalry. Ottawa have actually been a pretty decent side away from home on the season. They won at Tim Hortons Field, so perhaps going away from home suits this team moving forward.
Yeah, I think so. I think they had their home match. They are back, their home playoff match. But them on the road against one of these two teams, I like their chances.
All right, so we have a complete recap of Atletico Ottawa, York United, highlights, the controversy, all the goals, all of that coming up on match night immediately following Forge and Cavalry, which we turn to our attention next. Down the 401 to Hamilton, Ontario. It's 1 versus 2 for the honor of hosting the Canadian Premier League final. That is coming up next right here on One Soccer.
Tony Bet At Tony Bet, get treated like a VIP. Bet on live games with odds on all sorts of sports. That's what you get when you bet with Tony Bet.
Oh, Carol! Always the earliest holiday shopper.
It's Holly. Uh-oh.
You know who's gonna win?
Holly.
Carol.
What?
Carol.
No, Holly.
Get out of here.
Degree, 72-hour non-stop protection. Antiperspirant with motion sense. Tested to the limit. Degree, keeps working when others stop.
On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, we encourage Canadians to pause and remember all that veterans have sacrificed for us, lest we forget.
This ultimate mouth-watering moment is brought to you by the big, bold, ultimate taste of Ultimate Chicken Hot Dogs, only from Maple Lodge Farms.
Interesting on Forge and see as Ara sends it in. Forge, yes! And that is that. Airflow, dangerous in. Into the goal. That's a bad decision. It's going to be a string ejection. And they've reached the finish line. Across to the spot. It's down. And Dan Klopp from the corner towards the near post. And that's an own goal. But to take on 4, that was a mistake. Doing Tristan Borges things. It's the best rivalry in the Canadian Premier League. Two familiar foes with a familiar history. Let's see what it brings about this time around. It's the number 1 versus number 2 game of the Canadian Premier League. The winner of this one will host the Canadian Premier League final in 2 weeks' time. The loser, they host Atletico Ottawa next weekend. Welcome to a very abbreviated pre-match show. It's Forge, it's Cavalry from Hamilton, Ontario. Atletico Ottawa survive in a penalty shootout, knocking York United out of the Canadian Premier League playoffs. Forge won the Shield this year. The Canadian Premier League Shield is the top team over the regular season, taken away from Cavalry, who won it a season ago. And looking at this Forge team, it's hard to pick any holes in this group. They look a complete outfit once again here in 2024. It begs the question, is this the best Forge team that they've had here in year 6? I mean, it's difficult to compare because there's been great teams before, but this team looks like it's absolutely up for that comparison.
Yeah, I think they have the most depth. I think that they're the best cohesive team. That 2021 team, though, and the run that they made, the talent that they had on their team might edge this one. But I think this is a finished product. I think everyone that went into Forge and the staff, the recruitment that went in to bring all these players and the types of players into this squad, I think they've done a remarkable job because they are all singing and rowing in the same direction, and this is what you want at this time of the year. They have many options that can hurt you. I think this is the best team.
It's interesting because you say 2021, that team did not win the North Star Cup that season. That went to Pacific, playoff football, anything can happen. And saying that with his Forge side, no Daniel Parra, very good left back. He's out through suspension. And they sold their best and top number 9 in Kwesi Poku midway through the season. He is now playing for Belgium and, oh yeah, making appearances with the Canadian men's national team. As for Cavalry, I mean, their playoff history, it's been checkered against Forge. Forge have been the dominant side. Look at that. Winning on all 3 occasions. The 2019 final was a home and away, as was in 2022. If we look at this, Jordan, the history doesn't look great. Cavalry haven't won at Tim Hortons Field in their last 8 visits. Yet this is a Cavalry side that's only lost 4 games. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All season long. What's different this year? Could a different story be written this time around?
I think 2 things stick out to me. I think they've taken their lumps, and what I mean by that is the final last year as well. I thought they were very pragmatic, smart. I just think that the goals that Forge scored came from football gods. Like, they were just little bit that margin, or hairline better than Cavalry on the day. But I think Tommy Wooden Jr. and company have taken those lumps, have learned how to manage games. I've seen them throughout the season as well. In certain matches when they just needed to hold on, they did it with such grace. They're battle tested. They know what it is. I will also say they have more depth. I look at the team, and everyone's talking about Atletico Ottawa in the beginning of the season and Forge. I think Cavalry are a better side on paper, and throughout the year, Lowell Wrights, Jay Herdman, players have come in at the right time for that team. I think that they have some difference makers in Warshevsky and Ali Musi. I think they have enough to go and compete. But for me, this is always Forge season, and you have to go and slay those dragons. Are they up for the challenge? I think on paper they are. Let's see what they produce today.
Let's take a look at Forge's starting 11. Wholesale changes for Bobby Smuniotis. Like last weekend, they went to Pacific. They lost that game 1-0. But there was a lot of players that were out of that team because it didn't make a difference. Notably, Badabanga's going to play down the left, and Poma's going to lead the line. He's more of a false 9. Doesn't traditionally play in that position. Oluwabi Bellewu, we saw how good he can be at left back against Toronto FC in the Canadian Championship. He's going to be huge in that position. Jabrapor back from suspension as well.
Yeah, it's a strong team. For me, the 10 players that are playing in spots that can really hurt you. And Poma, you've seen him on the left, you've seen him a bit on the right this season. I think he's a quality player. But as a number 9, I think this is an area where Cavalry want to feel confident and really stick it to him early. But look, this Forge team again, quality all over the pitch.
As for the Cavalry starting 11, they roll out the same team that won last week at Valor. Tobias Warshevsky leads the line. He is the Golden Boot winner in the Canadian Premier League. Hard to see there's been a better player in the CPL when he plays than Ali Musi. Jay Herdman's been a huge addition, providing balance playing down that left-hand side. And Dan Klopp, one of, if not the best defender in the Canadian Premier League.
Tommy Wilden Jr. put every player on the pitch in form, saying, look, we're going for this. We want to host the final at Spruce Meadows, and I love it. The fact that Ali Musi's playing, Jay Herdman's been an exceptional signing for them. He's going for it as he should. This is the big time in the season.
Some will say, well, Forge and Cavalry, here we go again. I'm more like, here we go again. Yeah. These are the best games in the Canadian Premier League. The stakes, once again, incredibly high. All things to play for. Reminder, last time these two sides played at Tim Hortons Field in the playoffs, it was 3 goals in extra time, including an Olympico that won the Canadian Premier League title, courtesy of Tristan Borges against Marco Carducci and company. Let's see how all this drama plays out. Forge, Cavalry, one more time. It's the playoffs on One Soccer.
Allstate and its 900 agents proudly support Canadian soccer at every level. Visit allstate.ca.
I wanna run back to you. All I wanna do is run back to you and make my dreams come true. The only thing I ever do is run right back to you.
When the stakes are high, only the TELUS 5G network delivers.
Volkswagen, the official automotive partner of the Canadian Premier League.
Yeah.
This one is for you.
WestJet is a proud sponsor of the Canadian Premier League.
At CIBC, we know that nothing feeds ambition like momentum. So no matter what your goals are, from starting a business to sending money back home, a conversation with us about your goals can set everything in motion. And once that ball of possibilities gets rolling, watch out, world.
CIBC is a proud partner of the Canadian Premier League.
Death, taxes, and Forge and Cavalry in the Canadian Premier League postseason. The certainties in life and a rather constant variable in this Canadian Premier League. It is that time of year where the autumn leaves have turned and are in their absolute and utter brilliance. Calgary has had their first snowfall, and it's playoff time once again as we say good afternoon, everybody, and welcome inside Tim Hortons Field. The supporters in the Bellows and across Tim Hortons Field will remember for a very, very long time Tristan Borges's Olympico to win the 2023 Canadian Premier League final. An absolute thriller it had been when these two clubs met twice in the playoffs. But things could be perfectly flipped for Tommy Wheeldon Jr. and Cavalry. After winning the regular season dominantly in 2023, they hosted this 1v2 qualifying semifinal, and they lost the game to Forge. When they returned for the final after doing it the hard way, they got the first goal in extra time after a bit of a 90-minute snooze, and then Benny Bongo leveled it up before that man wearing number 19 in orange, Tristan Borges, had one for the career reel. Cavalry left Hamilton once again with their heads held high, but the disappointment emanating. This year, could it be that they pip Forge at the post on home turf and host the CPL finals in 2 weeks? A thriller to start the day, and Forge and Cavalry, certainly a delicious dessert.
Fans, please rise if you are able to, remove your hats, and join Kaylee in the singing of the Canadian National Anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Bobby Smirniotis and Tommy Wheeldon Jr., two of the greats in Canadian Premier League coaching history, are ready for their 31st meeting across all competitions. Gareth Wheeler with the super stat. In those 30 games, only once has the scoreline been 2 goals or more for one of these clubs